O'clock, we'll kick off our special meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We'll call the meeting to order, flag salute, and now we'll go ahead and we'll start in person if we have some public comment. Now, keep in mind that for discussion purposes, we're not going to do another public comment at the end, but for discussion purposes, when we get to, in particular, the sewer, that'll be open for discussion beyond the scope of just a public comment, but that also will be very specific to the subject matter, not open for anything else or go down any other rabbit holes, if you will. So if anybody here in the room like to get up and do a few minutes, 3 minutes of a public comment, you're welcome to do so.
John, I'm confused. Are you saying there'll be a public comment period for the sewer alone?
I'm referring to that as a public discussion, yes.
So there'll be
Yes, sir.
for public testimony
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I didn't want to limit it to the 3 minutes for that matter because that was a significant part of today's meeting.
Sure.
Yeah, but you're also welcome to do a public comment if you want to start it out that
Great.
way.
Happy to.
Okay, cool.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
It's good to see you. I have a brief public comment now, and then
Okay.
we'll have some items regarding the sewer treatment plant
Okay.
that you sent a letter in on. My first comment is the Port of Allyn is a small agency, with small capacity, but it has important work to do. And I think you all are committed to that. And I wouldn't question your commitment. I wouldn't stand up here and say something that would be incendiary like you should resign, because I think that's inappropriate. You were elected by folks. I think you should serve your terms and do your job. And I think you endeavored to do that. I don't think you're bad people with malice in your heart or ill intent, but you have limited capacity. None of you work here professionally. You have limited personal capacity. You're not in commercial real estate, or if you have been in the past, you haven't been successful at getting the endeavors done. So I would caution the Port of Allyn for not getting involved unless it has the capacity to really be a partner. You're a bad partner if you comment on things that you don't know about. I would be a bad partner to comment on your water system. I know very little about it, but it has been in the news recently, and I have read articles about it, and I've watched a few meetings, but I don't have the facts. So I think you would say, David, what are you talking about commenting on something you haven't looked at the engineering or delved into it? I think the port was misguided when it commented on a timber sale that benefits children and trust beneficiaries that can't advocate for themselves. I think the port was misguided, but I understand why. People come in, they speak passionately, and cutting trees is a business I understand a lot about. So I understand the passion behind those moments. Let's not do this. This is going to cause harm. And rightfully so, you advocated for something that would supposedly do no harm. And then you understood the trustees' dilemma of not being able to speak for themselves, that money goes to fund schools. And you pulled back from that position. I would say that when people come in and ask you to take a position on something, you are being used as a political pawn at best, or you're regurgitating other people's words without doing the homework. If you want to be a partner, I appreciate that, but I also understand that you have some community members in here who run the table for 20 minutes at a time. So if I go a few seconds over, I apologize.
No worries.
I think that you don't want to regurgitate other people's words. Do the research, talk to the other folks if you want to take a position on something. And then ask yourself, is it in your mission? I heard something that, and frankly, Judy, you and I served on the EDC board for a long time. We're on the Belfair Village Community Plan. We've talked about the sewer, we've talked about other utilities in the area. We've both been passionate about our community, and we both leaned in. If you want to lean in, it's a lot of work, and I'm not quite sure you have the capacity to lean in on some of these issues. So you can do the same thing that we all do. You can trust in your other elected representatives to do the work and for them to make a reasonable decision. I think it is very problematic for you to issue statements about topics that other people are very passionate
All right,
about
thank you.
and not be able to complete the work that you already have in front of you.
Thank you, Mr. Overby.
All right. So, we have any other public comment? Okay. If there's anybody else in the room, we'll do that first. If not, then we'll go ahead and go to the online. All right, we've got Mr. Van Busker. Go ahead and you've got 3 minutes, if you would, please. If you got public comment.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Again, I couldn't hear on Zoom. Like last time, you can't hear the speaker. And I recognized the voice, but I could hardly hear what he was saying. So for my public comment, I sent you several emails yesterday, and you called a special meeting, and several of the items on the agenda can and should be addressed at a regular meeting. You're not going to take any action today, and you wouldn't take any action until a regular meeting. Both Sweetwater corrective action progress, the port's request for an extension to that plan, and Mason County Belfair Sewer extension require no action today. And I felt it should be removed from the agenda so that you can have robust public input and commissioner discussion and action at a regular meeting. And I'd urge you to do that at your next regular meeting. I sent you a public records request this morning regarding the .09 monies that's on the agenda. And I hope you can clarify whether or not during your discussion today, whether you have applied for it or you haven't. I have the impression that it's not real clear what it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Is everybody else online would like to speak, public comment? All right. And,
Yeah, I'd like to jump in. Yeah, Commissioner, this was going through the public responsibilities of port commissioners, and planning, goal setting, and evaluation at number 1, policy making number 2, number 3, budgeting, and number 4, hiring and oversight of the executive director. So the what we're seeing a lot of from the port is a lot of planning and focus on items that are not related to economic growth and development. And the port is actually acting as a de facto extension of the Parks Department. And we need to get back to the charter of what the Port of Allyn is here to do, and that's to promote economic growth and development. And that's very clear. The port website mentions that. In regard to policy making and goal setting should revolve around the charter of the Port District in Allyn. Budgeting, we've got some concerns about budgeting. We're going to address those at another time. Hiring and oversight of the executive director. We understand that Director Merrill was the former security guard of the Port of Allyn prior to his sudden promotion to executive director. Of the 75 port districts in Washington state, how many of those port districts do you think would promote their security guard to executive director with no prior experience? Of the private businesses in Washington state, how many put their security guard to CEO of the company? These are questions the commission needs to ask themselves. Secondly, in regard to Sweetwater Park, which is on the agenda for today, why did the commission authorize Director Merrill to go in and cut trees in a critical area buffer without a permit? How many of the 75 port districts in Washington State would authorize their director to do that? In regards to those trees, there was a hung tree that was left, that was cut clearly. That's a violation of Washington State L&I codes and also OSHA. OSHA penalties exceed $16,000 a day for those types of violations. So these are serious issues. That tree needs to be marked per code, per the requirements of state law, and dealt with and get down. It needs to be taken down mechanically as quickly as possible. So these are the issues I wanted to bring up today. I'm running out of time, so I thank you for the time to speak today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is anybody else online that would like to make a public comment on the subject matter of today's special meeting? If not, do you want to, we're going to go back to in person here. Oh, okay. Did you like to speak this morning? Did you want to have a comment?
No, I'm just here.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so then we'll go ahead and move on to the discussion on the Sweetwater Corrective Action Progress Update. So we got.
So if the commission would like, I could explain some of the moving parts of the summary.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you.
As you know, we had a deadline set on our previous RCO approved plan for corrective action of August 29th. So I made sure that we had a special meeting set before that so that we could address that deadline and whether we would meet it or not.
Okay.
And of course, we weren't able to meet that deadline.
Right.
But we also coordinated with the RCO, and the RCO did provide an extension to that deadline to March 31st, 2026. You saw the letter provided in the packet awarding that extension. And the corresponding reasoning in the request. Was there any questions about the request, the extension request content that was approved?
Yeah, not for me.
Okay.
No. Okay.
It looks like there's, in the letter, it says we've applied for Mason County 09 funds, I see, when we're still working on that application. It has not actually been applied yet. So that's a little bit of a misrep, but I will make sure that I send an email to clarifying that. The targeted Brownsfield assessment was, we were awarded a, by the Department of the EPA, basically they're going to come through and do all of the environmental planning for us on their dime to get us to the point where we can apply for the funds to actually do the work of cleaning up Sweetwater Creek. So that's a great milestone that we've achieved there. They're still going out to bid for a new, basically environmental engineer that does the work for them.
Okay.
They are between contracts right now, so there's be a few month lag before we get those meetings set up, according to the letter that they sent us. And we have applied for a tree cutting permit at Sweetwater Creek. And we're still currently in process. It hasn't been fully processed through yet.
Can't hear out here.
Okay. So we have applied for the tree cutting permit with Mason County Community Development. And we are still waiting on a word back from that, if that's approved or not. Should hear back not too soon. I do believe that there's some additional information that may be required. We will get back to them as soon as that has been accomplished. Other than that, like I touched on the 09 funds, we haven't applied for those yet. They just have been, we're still collecting our letters of support. So we send those out as soon as we've got those. Any additional questions on that?
None here.
Okay.
Non-Muslims.
All right, well,
Okay.
maybe move on to the next topic.
Okay, so, as far as the Mason County Belfair Sewer Extension, we are not taking a position against any direction on here. The only thing that we wanted to make a statement on, which is pretty clear in our letter, is that it needs to have a full analysis on it to see how it's gonna impact the 9,000 people that we have in the North Mason area. It's important to understand as a commission, it's like we aren't making or breaking a deal there, whether it happens or not. And we've been asked for a long time to take a position from various sides of the coin, and we chose to finally just basically say what I think is the obvious, is that there needs to be a feasibility study and how that's going to impact our local community as a port with 9,000 people in the North Mason area, that we as commissioners have a responsibility to at least understand which direction, how it's going to go. I mean, we'll go from there. So it's this letter that we have right here that we signed as a commission. It's simple, that we believe the decision on this magnitude requires a comprehensive and transparent review process. It would be need to have a full cost benefit analysis. We use that fancy language. Well, it does need to have a study. We just don't go ahead and approve something without completely understanding how that's going to impact our community. It's that simple. So we're not against it. We're for development. That's who we are as a port. But to get our teeth, to get our head wrapped around it and chew on it pretty hard would require more information. I don't think it's been done. Whether it's a study that's how it's going to impact traffic.
It has been done.
This would have been a great place to bring it to the table and have a discussion then, because I have not seen how it's going to impact it personally. Where is that study that you're talking about?
I'm happy to address that if
Yeah,
want me to.
it's open for discussion.
Sure, happy to
Yeah.
discuss it. So for the last 20 years,
Uh-huh.
Mason County, Kitsap County, City of Bremerton, Port Orchard even, have talked about regional sewer discussions in the area.
Right.
All of these things, the Port of Allyn at times have been part of. Judy, you've sat at some of those meetings as well. So the fact that you say you are not knowledgeable.
No, the study on, right, a current study on how it's to impact our
On
current
which impact?
impact
Do you
our
mean-
businesses and
Do you mean
impact
the planned
traffic.
action EIS at the Port of Bremerton?
If
Do you
we,
mean the planned action EIS at Mason County? Do you mean the sub-area plan? What are you actually asking for in a feasibility study? You don't know.
a cost analysis on how it's
Of
gonna.
what?
Of how it's gonna impact our local businesses. There's a,
Did you do that when you bought your water system? Did you do a feasibility study? Or did you go through an orderly process
That's
to
a-
make a decision?
that's a really good, quite a stretch.
You have not.
That's-
It's a stretch.
Yeah, it's a stretch because
You're saying there should be a feasibility
This is-
study on any utility extension.
well, that's a distraction. So
It's not a distraction.
Yeah.
I can tell you, just matter of fact,
yeah,
you're worried about retail development on the other side of the county line, 200 yards from where the sewer system currently ends. If I want to do retail there, it's currently zoned for it. I can put in a septic system and build whatever I want under state law. A federal tribe
that's true.
does that under federal law.
Right.
So all the actions that you're saying you would like to study to see their impact are
I want to see how it's gonna
currently-
impact it. I'm
are
not,
currently legal.
I'm not, I'm not,
Are currently legal
so
and
the,
allowed for.
so a business
No
model.
one is advocating for that to happen.
I don't,
No one is doing that.
Okay.
Someone is putting a straw man in front of you and saying a Home Depot or some other action that no one is proposing.
well, we don't
I can
know.
tell you today, and over the last 20 years, Judy, we've worked on things to try and bring businesses to the community. We have sites in the Belfair UGA that we're developing that could house a Home Depot that currently has sewer, currently has water, currently has power, and appropriate zoning. Why isn't there one in Belfair?
Well, why is it that they need our sewer then, if they already have that?
Because we're trying to grow the shipyard and industrial development related to the Navy. there is a project called PSYOP, which is a $10 billion upgrade to the Naval Shipyard, the largest amassment of industrial land in Western Washington is around the Port of Bremerton. It's been that way for 20 years. We've been trying to do this. We've had regional programs to try and bring sewer to the area. The lowest cost operation other than septic, which we can currently do, the Port of Bremerton's been on septic for 50 years. Belfair was built on septic.
Is the Port of Bremerton on board with this current, in moving forward currently with?
They want service, and they are working with the city of Bremerton to develop it.
Are they on board with the concept right now of utilizing our sewer system and
Yes, if
they
it
are on
can
board
be
with that?
extended. I have talked to all 3 commissioners and their executive director, and they've been talking with the city of Bremerton for 15 years about this. They don't want to be in the sewer business.
So the other question I have is our sewer system right now, in the capacity that it's working, in good shape? Is it functioning well with no
it
issues?
needs more connections.
Well, aside from it needs more connections, I'm talking, is it functioning well just the way it is?
Department of Ecology has looked at some issues
How did
that have
that
been
go?
in place since construction
How did that
of
go?
the facility.
How did did they look at it recently?
They were up there yesterday. In
Okay.
fact, Commissioner
They find any
Netherland
issues?
took Steve Dunkel and a reporter in a personal vehicle out there to go and attend a regulatory meeting.
Fair enough.
So
Did they
you can talk to the commission about that. You can also talk to Department of Ecology and your partner in the county.
Did they find any issue with it, or currently, just the way it is?
Are you asking
I
about the
mean,
letter?
well, yeah,
that
I
you
wasn't
see?
there.
I wasn't there either.
Oh, okay, all right.
They just drove through my
Okay.
tree farm to get there.
All right.
I was informed that they did find issues, and the ecology said that they couldn't go forward with it. We could, that until they fixed a leak and some other things, I guess.
Couldn't
that are
go
going
forward
on.
with what?
The extension. The
Ecology
ecology,
said-
No, well, we can't.
that's what I was told.
We can't
Who
speak.
told you that,
Mm.
Michael?
I'm not gonna get into all
Why
that,
won't
because
you
that
get
becomes
into
a
transparent
personal
discussion?
thing.
Michael, you're not getting into it.
Did
because
you have
guys
some-
you're
we're-
working as
this is-
political pawns.
So we're opening this up.
For a commissioner
Okay.
who's on a personal
So
vendetta.
we're here for furthering the discussion. Did you have something you want to add to this, if you don't mind, for all parties?
I'm going to stand here only, hopefully Ken, you can hear me. That's why I'm standing here. is
Yeah, that
hopefully
works.
I'm closer to that. So I just want to give some perspective. So I'm Will Harris, I live in Allyn, I'm a professional engineer in the state. So we talk about, we want to protect businesses. And to protect the business, we should do a study before we support a business. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so where is this study that looks at the impact for grocery outlet? I understand it's in Mason County, but I'm really confident it's going to affect Safeway and QFC. So where's that study? And where are we standing up for or against whatever our position is? And I don't think there is one. And the issue is a lot of what Mr. Overton directed. So let's talk about a couple other things. Why Belfair Sewer? Technical and engineering reasons. Cost is a factor, I believe, but more importantly, it's technical and engineering. So when you put stuff, sewage, into a pipe, and that sewage sits there, it festers, it becomes hydrochloric and sulfuric acid, it eats away at the pipe. If it flows, that's less of a problem, because it's not sitting there and festering. It's just sort of like, putting garbage at the bottom of a can and never changing it, it sort of grows. And so what's happening is when we have initially very low flow, what you're going to end up with that stuff festering. If you can push it to Belfair, a shorter distance, and pushing it down to Gorst or out to Silverdale is better technically and from an engineering perspective. Cost and other factors, someone else can get into that. We talk about capacity. Let's talk capacity at real high level. Our sewer plant is a collection system, that's pipes to the plant. It's 1 million gallons at the plant. When fully built out, Commissioner Netherland was absolutely correct about a week ago to note that right now it's maybe 250,000 gallons because of how it's set up with lack of membranes, okay? And that's the right way to do it because we don't have the flow to maintain the full system. When fully built, it's $1 million. The retention pond is $1 million. The spray field is a little less, and May and Time need expansion. Right now, we're permitted 125,000, we're seeing 80 to 90. If you add every house projected for the next 20 years from Department of Commerce in North Mason, everything from Allyn, everything from Belfair, and you stick it all on the sewer system, that's gonna add about 400,000 gallons a day, and that's based upon ordinance and requirements of sizing. You add 160,000 gallons on top of that, you're somewhere around 750,000 gallons. So in another 20 years, we're only at best 75% used out, okay? As far as the pond, does it need repairs? Yeah, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. At Planning Advisory Commission a month ago, this very topic came up. Richard Dickerson, our utilities engineer for Mason County, observed that there are two departments from Washington State, Department of Ecology being one, with differing opinions. And those professional opinions need to be sorted out. But whether it needs repair or not is irrelevant to this conversation, because that repair has to be done whether you add 160,000 gallons from industrial park or not. That is a bill, in my humble opinion, that should be borne by Mason County. However we come up with the funds, it's state, federal, local, that's, the commissioners will work through that. But it's an existing problem. Even if permission was given today, full permission, go build it, we're not gonna see a drop of sewage for 2 years. We have time to go fix the pond if needed. All right, and when we talk about ultimately this study, what do we really need? John, the ILA takes it to exactly where it needs to be. It provides the engineering input. It brings together Bremerton and Mason County, and we end up with a design, a possibility of how to go. How big is the pipe coming in from Kitsap? Where is it connecting? What's that cost? What do we have to do to the plant, pond, spray field for the 160? Again, that's a 20-year run. That's a long time. That gives the facts on only part of the discussion. The other part with regards to impact to businesses, do we charge an out-of-area fee? Do we split sales tax somehow?
Exactly.
That's the decision of the board's county commissioners. No study can figure that out. That is embedded in the negotiations between Bremerton and Mason County at the legislative level, and for us, Mason County, that is our 3 board of commissioners. So all we can do, we need to do is sign this LA. It should have been signed 6 to 12 months ago. We should get the engineering facts in front so Commissioners Netherland, Tarswell, and Trask have information to where they can then enter into viable negotiations in good faith with City of Bremerton. If the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, great. But right now, we don't even have the facts. In fact, we aren't even looking for the facts because we refuse to sign this LIA.
It was signed, well, they didn't sign it, but they agreed to sign it. What was it, 2 days, 2, 3
2
days
days ago, it should have been 6 months ago. The letter came in September. Why in the world would a letter come in September of '24 and not get publicly pushed out until May? That's a long time. Of course, there was an election in May of '24. Maybe that's where the issue.
Oh, boy. All right, well, I just, as a board, we're bringing it up to discuss it because there's a lot of moving parts to this whole thing that, I mean, you bring up a good point, Mr. Overton. Is the bottom line is that there are things outside the scope of this whole thing that we don't completely understand. All we're looking for is something that shows us how that will impact because there's a bigger picture that you're all looking at regarding growth, economic development that we're all for, but we're looking for how that's going to impact our local businesses and the 9,000 people we have as a small port.
Capacity to do this stuff independently. So you're calling for
So
other
if
people
we're not,
to do it.
it's interesting you said at one point you're saying you're here obviously because we do have a voice, right? I mean that you.
No, I'm here because I believe in the long-term mission of the Port of Allyn.
Yeah.
My family has been here longer than the port's been established here. We have a business at the head of the bay, and I care about this community.
Yeah,
And I'm seeing that you guys are being led down a path,
okay,
and I'm saying this with kindness in my heart. I'm here to talk to you in public.
Yeah.
Michael, you just said you wouldn't talk or wouldn't say the people that you're talking to. I think a public discussion is great, so I'm here to do that.
yeah,
And I'm saying this, the port has limited capacity. It has things that are very important to this community.
yes,
The park here, I'm a large proponent of it.
all right,
The dock, that is a huge asset. The water system, I don't understand. And I thought it was confusing when it was expanded to a piece of property that the executive.
I think there is a way to look at how this would affect this,
But I do know that the port has limited capacity. 20 years ago,
Yeah.
the port came to me about industrial development. And they asked to partner with me. And they hired a firm, NBBJ, and spent about $100,000 looking at it. And the reason we looked at it, because I didn't know what the port's capacity was at the time, they figured out the project was an order of magnitude 4 or 5 times greater than what the port could afford. It couldn't afford to buy the land, couldn't afford even through direct grants to put up the buildings. So we both said, this doesn't work because the port is capacity constrained.
right,
And we walked away from that because
Okay.
it was a bad investment. And the port realized it didn't have the capacity to do industrial development on that scale.
okay,
And so that's when I looked at working with the Port of Bremerton and
Yeah.
Mason and Kitsap counties and the city of Bremerton
Right.
to try and bring jobs to the area.
right,
And so because I care about this port, I don't want it to see it delve into areas that are big regional projects when it doesn't have the expertise or the capacity to do it. That would be a full-time job.
well, we're not pretending to be experts in this area at
You
all.
are giving advice.
Well, they're not giving advice.
You're
It's pretty-
asking
We're not
for
opposed to, we're
A
not,
full feasibility study, and you said,
Well,
said it was fancy technical
you
language.
have a business model, right, set up for,
I do have a business
right,
plan.
okay, well, and I'm not asking for your full business model, but I'm interested to see what that
And
business
I'm
model.
not asking for yours.
Okay, I'm interested to see it, because once you hook something up like that, it's
What do you mean?
like the whole,
What up?
the sewer,
To what? To land?
to an area that's not
been
developed
zoned
yet.
for industrial development.
Okay, I get
Has an
it.
airport and 3,000 jobs.
It's gonna grow,
currently.
and it's okay.
There's also some other problems that
What are the other problems?
I've been made aware of.
By who?
Um,
Otherwise, we don't
Yeah.
know.
okay,
Dude.
I know this is all, okay, I've talked to both commissioners. I've talked to
Sir,
I've talked to
You're
two
the
commissioners.
board commissioners?
No, not the port commissioners,
What commissioners?
county commissioners. I've talked to Randy.
And
Okay.
what's the other?
And I've also talked to Pat. I've also talked to Steve Dunkel,
The county auditor.
the county auditor, about the
And the
fact,
head of the
can
Republican
I
Party.
finish
I'm
talking?
I'm clarifying their
It
rules.
doesn't matter, this isn't a hit list of who I've talked
You
to.
brought it
The
up.
point is this. They all have stated that there's also a problem with easements. A lack of easements for the sewer lines. You can't, we do run a water
Michael,
system.
have
There
you
has
talked
to
the
be,
county utility director, who knows about the easements, everything in the asset. You have a water company, you have easements for your water company.
Exactly.
Who would you go and talk to about an easement when you need to verify is your line in an area? Who would you talk to? Would you talk to the county auditor? Would you talk to, I don't know, a county commissioner about where your easement is? Or would you talk to your engineer? You'd probably talk to your engineer.
Yes,
So I have a question for
I'm
you,
happy to answer it.
and really it's in regard to some of that, because you were at the voice meeting, which I
Yes.
appreciate you being at, by the way, because, the community is convinced that you are the big property owner and that you have the strings to pull. Wait, let me finish. So some of those easements were a big concern. Do you allow, the environmental health to get on easily? Are there problems with that? The fact that you own the property even though there's easements?
Do you want me to answer them at the end or in line
No,
right now?
right now.
Right now, there is no problem.
Okay.
Judy, they were up there yesterday. In fact, Randy was up there. In fact, Randy was being driven by the county auditor and a reporter in a personal vehicle, which isn't allowed instead of being a county vehicle. That's a huge insurance issue. They were coming out. All the commissioners were out there other than Pat Tarswell, as well as a dozen folks from Department of Ecology and county staff. I don't know what the meeting was at because I wasn't invited to go. So, or there were problems.
Do you have to be there? I mean, is it because it's your property or does it?
I was there because we're doing a development up on the hill and they drove past.
Okay.
Well, I'm interested in
And I can answer the easement question as well.
how.
Yeah,
how-
please do,
how
if
can-
you don't
No,
mind.
I don't mind,
I'd
go
like
ahead.
to have him answer that.
So
Okay.
the county wanted to extend service. And you were on a sewer advisory committee that
Right.
came up with 20 recommendations. In those recommendations, trunk line extensions and public-private partnerships and economic development, all of those were in there. So the county looked at providing service to an area. And they did a cost-benefit analysis for extending a trunk line. And they extended a trunk line over my property. Do you know why? It was cheaper. Do you know when the sewer system was built in Belfair? And Commissioner Netherland has said over and over again, this has never been done. It's never been run through one property owner's land. Go and look at a map of the Belfair sewer system and the property owners. And Judy, you know this well, because on the other end of this housing subdivision, you own property.
Right.
On the north side is a long, skinny little bottleneck, of which the trunk line for the sewer system runs through. Who's the owner of that? Jack Johnson. Then it goes and runs through above Sweetwater Creek, all of their property to get up to the treatment plant. That's also Jack Johnson. Guess whose property the lift station is on? Jack Johnson. So when the sewer treatment plant was built, they did the exact thing that they're doing now. There was a utility extension. They asked for easements. Randy demanded that I donate the land. That was his demand. So I worked with the county to make it more affordable. And then I get told that I was given a $5 million gift. We have over 420 connections that have been developed up on that hill. We have another 250 that we'd like to do an additional development. It will, just like when Belfair Sewer went in front of your property and you hooked up, you paid a fee
Sure did, yeah.
and you didn't like it. I don't like it when I pay a fee.
I also know it's necessary.
It is
Sewers are
necessary. And what did your fee do? It paid back the debt and your monthly pays the operation and maintenance. This is sewer and utility business 101 and you are a utility provider. You know this. It's no different than up there. Can we block an agency from extending a utility through our property when they have eminent domain and they also have a 20-year working relationship with me? No, we don't do that. In fact, Judy, the sewer ends at Mason Transit. We advocated to go across the highway and serve all of the industrial land on the other side, of which I used to own a fair amount of it. Why did we do that? To get more users. Mason County could not secure an easement from WashDOT. They couldn't go fast enough. They had millions of dollars in that same package that they could have applied to take under the highway and service all of that industrial land.
Who, Mason County? you mean?
Mason County, they returned the money. And there may be someone behind me shaking their head, and I can tell you that they're facts. I'm not embellishing this. There was a grant, the same grant that paid for the sewer extension, and if you say, oh, you can't go to Department of Commerce and change that granting, I can tell you there's a man here who does just that for a living and is elected to do it. He's done it on the Belfair Freight Corridor to make sure the project goes forward. We won't deny easements for people that want service, because I'm not a utility provider. You are, you know better than I do. If the county needs an easement from me, they'll come and they'll assess it, they'll appraise it, they can buy it, we can sell it, we can donate it. All of those are normal things. We're doing that with WashDOT right now. So it's a crazy, nonsensical, political argument that people are putting in your head, and it's not true.
Well, I have to say, I personally don't think it's necessarily a personal vendetta. That's been the other thing that's been floating around, you know, like some of the other things. And I'd like to hear what's going, and
Judy, when it's me,
yeah,
and it's all focused on a $5 million gift, if someone did that, it would be massively illegal.
right.
And who should that person, if a county commissioner believes that, they have a prosecutor. Go to them. Oh my God, they gifted public funds. We should sue that person to get our money back. There was no gift. Judy, if I got a gift, you got a gift. When that sewer ran in front of you, did it feel like a gift?
Well, yes and no.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They provided you
Right.
service. They're providing me service. Guess what my rate is now? $13,000+ per ERU. Guess what it was just a few years ago? 7.
Okay.
right.
So it's not a gift. It gets paid back. If you don't understand this, it's the same way that when you guys charge over.
So from the standpoint of us as a commission, I'll just speak for myself, but,
Can I add one more thing?
yeah, go ahead. No, please.
Because this new ILA, you know, I watched the meeting on, it was Monday, I guess it was Monday. And this is a little better, I think. Will, you talked about why was it sitting around for a while? I don't know either, but it's here now, so let's go forward. And I think this one is good, and I think they're willing to sign this one. And I don't really know exactly what, you know, we don't have a big dog in the fight, I
No.
guess is what you could say. I appreciate the fact that everybody's here, at least giving us a voice.
Right.
Really, as you well know, it is up to the commission. And, you know, Randy's heart is in this community. He's fought hard and long for us, and I have to say, there's been a lot of good things that he's done too. So I want to support some of that. Now, you know, I'm not just trying to throw you under the bus here either, Dave, because you have done a lot. Your family have worked with your dad. You guys have given a lot to this community, and I appreciate that. So, but again, it's up to the commissioners, and I trust what they're gonna do, and this one I'm more comfortable with.
Judy, if someone were saying that you took money from the Port of Allyn, you know what I would say? I don't believe it. Why? Because I think I know who you are. If someone came up and said, you enriched yourself, right? I think you would argue, I've given more than I've gotten, right? You've gotten a lot of experience, but you've given a lot of time. I'm in a very different position. I don't have the safeguards of a publicly elected office. So when electeds come out and say, you got a $5 million gift, guess what I get to do? I get to sit down and eat that sandwich. I get to eat the steak and the baked potato, right? It's just how it is. I have to do it, and that's okay, because I'm not leaving, I'm not moving anywhere, and I can deal with the political pressure. But it does feel like it's pointed at me when all arrows are pointed at me over a $5 million gift that didn't happen. We went through a public process. I sat through more meetings like this during COVID in my home and hearing people tell me how terrible I am. And you know who stood up for me? Very few. And I think that was wrong. So that is the definition of a vendetta. When someone makes you singled out, the ogre on the hill. And I can go back up to my tree farm and do the things that I do and live a very happy life and go run around with my dog, ride a horse, do all those things.
Are you done with your
Yeah,
question?
I know.
But when you want to work in the public sector,
Yeah.
you get opened up to this stuff.
Yes.
And that's why it feels like a vendetta.
So,
I'm gonna get-
jump in
no, please.
And only because I have to go soon.
Okay.
But, you know, I've been around North Mason for a while. I also deeply care about this community, right? And there is a puzzle happening right now in North Mason. And it's not just water and sewer. It's millions of dollars of investments for PUD 3 power substations.
Right.
It's for massive upgrades that, you know, I've invested in the last session for the Belfair Water District, all up and down, not just down 106, but down Highway 3 as well. Massive upgrades to not only the interior of Highway 3 into Belfair for widening in the past, but also, you know, tens of millions of dollars for a Highway 3 freight corridor, the Belfair bypass. And when you start adding a lot of these things up, including the fact that my seatmates and even Tim Sheldon before me were investing heavily into the Belfair sewer to keep it solvent through direct funds or loan forgiveness at least 3 or 4 times, bailing out the Belfair sewer on the backs of the taxpayers of the state of Washington. And meanwhile, we have done almost literally net zero growth for the sewer in over a decade.
Right.
And I was one of the people who was ferociously opposed, as were most of our community at the time. It wasn't any of our fault that we got this sewer. Maybe it was a little bit of our county commission's fault, not the ones we have today, at the time for overbuilding the sewer, but these are problems of the past.
Right.
And I only have one interest, and that is the people and the businesses and the well-being of North Mason and Mason County.
Exactly.
And right now, we're looking a gift horse in the mouth. I simply do not agree with or understand that there is any reasonable argument that we are going to leak this massive amount of sales tax. Let's check the facts real quick.
Okay.
The Port of Bremerton does not need us. They do not need to connect to our sewer. They can zone however they want. They haven't done any differently than they've done in the past 20-something years. But they could simply not hook up to our sewer and build a Home Depot right now if they wanted to. Have they? Will they? No. Sales tax follows retail, which follows rooftops. Rooftops exist in the Belfair area, in the UGA. And the Belfair sewer has a duty to serve every rooftop in the UGA, just as sewer is extended behind the Safeway or to some of your properties in Belfair. Whether you develop it or not, the sewer is there for when someday you choose to develop that. That's not a gift.
Right.
And to classify $5 million as county funds that will never get paid back to the county, well, the county never spent a dime. This is public works assistance funds from the state of Washington. A low interest loan of 0.5% that will have to be paid back upon development. There's about as little carryover risk as you can possibly imagine. So are we going to spend another decade cutting off our nose to spite our face, not growing our way out of the sewer situation, not stabilizing rates, not allowing for what I read in the 2016 Kitsap Sun, Judy, about the desperate need for North Mason to build more housing? Those were your words.
Yeah.
We definitely need to build more housing. We are in a housing crisis in Washington State, and the state legislature, one reason or another, yes, it shoved the sewer down our throats with Growth Management Act. Nobody likes that. But here we are, and we're not fixing that now, sad to say. But we have a chance to build housing, and we're utilizing state loans, low interest, state funds. This ILA and the study we're talking about is a $3 million expenditure from me, from the state legislature, from the operating budget, the committee I sit on. And that was asked to me by all 3 of our Mason County commissioners, signed that document asking me, requesting that $3 million to share with Bremerton so that we can do impact studies, so we can have an ILA. We're literally talking about the equivalent of, can we continue to talk about this? But yet, it does seem to devolve into the Hatfield and McCoys of North Mason, where everyone's pointing fingers at each other and getting gifts, and none of that is actually happening. The only thing that is happening right now is that we are looking a gift horse in the mouth. We have a chance to build more housing, to get more jobs from the Navy and the industrial area. Navy veterans like myself who chose to live in North Mason and Belfair and Allyn, who always have to travel to the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard or Bangor to work, as I did for 15 years. And there isn't opportunities for my kids to live here or to work here. My kids cannot live or work here. I have one kid that graduated high school, does not live in our county, anywhere near it. And that's sad. It's sad, but we have an ability to change that. And right now, I understand that the Port of Allyn's job is economic development, but there really isn't a whole lot of economic development at the port. And I understand that things have been thrown into a lurch once, sadly, Larry and Leanne passed, and you guys have worked really hard to try to put the pieces back together. And we've worked really hard to help you do that. But we have unfinished projects not a stone's throw away from me. A dock that needs to be finished, an oyster house that needs to be finished, a water system that needs to be taken care of, Sweetwater Creek, you name it, right? Those should be, in my opinion, the focuses of the Port of Allyn. This is a distraction for the Port of Allyn, especially as we sit here and argue that nobody really knows the facts because everybody's rushing behind each other's backs to give the alternative facts. Let the ILA, let the study, let the entities do their work. This public financing of infrastructure is complicated stuff, right? But nobody, I don't believe, if it's Randy Netherland or David Overton or Jack Johnson or Will or Kevin, anybody in this board has any ill intentions for the people of North Mason. We need to actually start working together and talking to each other and figuring out what are the facts instead of warring with each other with our own version of the facts.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we're here.
And so with that, I just thank you for your time. I would like us to focus on what we have going on right now and clear those obstacles, but not get in the way of important growth and threaten the millions of dollars of investment the state is making into North Mason right now for housing, for jobs, for economic development and business. Thanks.
Thank you very much. One thing I'd like,
There's a comment online.
okay, very good.
And commissioners, just remind you, we've got about 20 minutes before our video has another engagement that I'll need to leave.
Okay, fair enough. Just real quick, is that we are not opposed to any of this. I just want to make that clear. We're actually, for a study to be done, we're actually asking for the things that are already, that they're already doing. We're not asking for anything more or not, or less. Basically, that Travis referred to, you know, all these things are already in the makings, in the workings. I mean, the whole sewer, we just opened it up for discussion so that you all could be here. You know, that's, I mean, if we had just, if none of you showed up, this would have been just where we stand in terms of just wanting to do, have a study done. That we would have been fine, and that whatever, the whole issue that you were talking about, we're not wrapped around any of that. Just so you know, Mr.
John,
Overton.
why did you send a letter in the first place?
Why did we send a letter? What?
Who came to you and requested you to send a letter?
We
'Cause I know
chose to do
Travis
it on our own.
crafted
Okay.
a pro and a con,
For
and you sent the con.
purpose of discussion, we decided to write a letter addressing the issue that's going
Neither
to
of those
impact
letters
North
were sent
Mason.
out. That's a completely different letter.
It is.
Great. Who raised this issue for the court to take a stand?
We raised the issue. For
All
them.
three of you independently
Not
said,
independently, as a commission.
as a
We
commissioner,
did, yes.
no one came to you and said, hey, I want you to take a stand.
We've been asked to take a position from the public for
Lots of other.
a long time, and we chose
So-
not to. And we just came to the point where we wanted to write this letter.
Very
So,
confusing.
what's happening here is we're going to like the
Intent.
he said, she said. It's
No,
just
no,
like-
I'm
This
asking-
letter speaks for
I'm
itself.
asking you directly. I'm not saying he said, she said. I'm saying.
Nobody asked
Give me the context. You're asking the context about easements, utility extensions, all of those things. I'm happy to provide you my intention. I'm asking you.
In a discussion at a meeting, I asked the commission if we wanted to take a position on this. And really, there is no position on this because we're not opposed to it.
So you're for it.
I'm for moving forward with the expansion of the sewer system in a way that we would understand how it's going to impact our local community, which means that's why the language in here is about a study. That's it.
And there's $3 million to study the engineering.
There you go.
costs.
So let me
And that
see
was a
it.
grant
Let me
2
see
years
it.
ago.
So when we get to that point and that
You're
crossroads, when
Travis already gave us the
I
grant.
get that, but let's see that in writing.
It's there.
I'd like to see it.
Why don't you
Okay,
go request it?
We're gonna move forward from here, just
I-
because I'd like to see it. I don't
I
have it.
have, there's
Clarification.
some, to me, what this letter represents is, I expect you to look after what's best for your interest.
And my community.
And, okay, but your interest as a business person, you're gonna take care of your business. I expect Bremerton to take care of what's best for Bremerton. The mayor of Bremerton's sole responsibility is the city of Bremerton. This letter is telling our commissioners that there's this huge dollar sign out there with all this potential. All we want is for them to, instead of seeing dollar signs and running for it, like they did with the septic system in the first place, that everybody agrees was a disaster, to sit there and go, okay, we want our commissioners to do what's best for Mason County instead of just running towards the dollars and the potential without making sure that that is all what's best. That's all this letter says. Because we need to do what's best for Mason County.
Michael, you have a very interesting perspective, and I respect that, and that's yours. I'm a citizen of Washington State in the United States. I don't pit Washington against our country. I don't pit Bremerton against Allyn. I don't do that. I think there are opportunities, like the shipyard, that exists in Bremerton that benefits Mason County.
I agree.
And so you don't take positions on what's going on in Bremerton now, right?
Yeah, we're not taking a position on that.
Right?
There's no, there's,
But are you for the expansion of the shipyard?
we are for the expansion if it's done with an understanding of how it's gonna impact our community.
Guess what they
That's
just
all.
published?
So we obviously are
They
learning
just
as we.
published an EIS
So-
for a $10 billion project at the shipyard through a public process.
So as a commission, we're here to learn more about how this will impact our community. It's that simple, and that's what this says in spirit, totally. That's it. Let's just move forward from this, sir.
It sounds like you're supporting the commissioners moving forward.
So
with
you're
the
looking for a hard liner here. I'm just telling you, in the spirit of this letter, we are in support of growth. With a gained understanding how it's to impact our community here in North Mason. That's it. Go, Mr. Harris.
I would just say, when I read the letter, I took it from a, more of an opposition
Really?
support perspective. That's just the way I read it. I think, I guess I would say this, John, is that, absolutely believe the ILA should be signed. And I think a letter simply saying, commissioners, we fully support the signing of the ILA so we can get the more detailed engineering and technical numbers, primarily a design and the cost estimate to go with the design. That's gonna break out, transferring the.
So that makes sense, okay?
We didn't
Right,
have this new
that doesn't,
ILA.
I
No, we
don't,
didn't.
We didn't have this new ILA.
But
We didn't see that until Monday.
Okay, so that being said,
but
Well, this
if I
is
may,
different.
that doesn't answer your question. Because your question is about ultimately the economic impact.
yeah.
That would give you, okay, what would it take to put this in place?
Mm-hmm.
It gives the commissioner, our board of county commissioners, it gives them the information to be able to negotiate. Bremerton, you pay for this, we'll pay for that, however they operate those negotiations.
Okay.
But the bigger piece, the economic piece, is gonna be based on an estimate.
Okay.
An assumption, not a cost estimate, but an estimate of what might come.
I think this is very
To our
healthy.
side, to their side, so ultimately what that's asking for, you're not gonna have definitive
Right.
hard numbers. There's gonna be assumptions behind it. The engineering we can
Of
do.
course.
But the rest of, well, right, but that's why I take it sort of negative.
Okay.
Is because the answer
Okay.
is not really achievable. Ultimately, it's gonna be based on a set of assumptions, not a design, because that's not how, I mean,
Okay.
unless we can read our three commissioners' minds on how they might negotiate.
We're a
we don't
voice.
know.
We're a voice here in North Mason as a commission, and we finish with we're not opposed. Okay, and the reason why we finish with not opposed is because, and well, for two reasons. One is because we're not, okay, and the other one is in moving forward and learning more about where we're at and where things are going. To your point, we didn't have this.
We didn't have this.
Yeah, so we'll just,
Is that a technical
for the
way of
purposes
saying-
of the time, we're up against the wall here. So, you
Thank
know,
you for your time.
I don't mean to, I do not mean to shut you down, but I appreciate
And I
it.
don't feel that.
Okay,
I feel like
good.
I've had more than ample time.
Okay.
But you're also saying we're not opposed.
We're not opposed.
If I sent that same letter, and just for a thought experiment, we don't have to do it now. Imagine if I sent that letter from me about your water system.
Oh,
Really
I'd be like,
You'd think, oh boy, David's for this.
if you're in our
He's-
community, you have.
I am.
Yeah, I know.
John, I am.
I know that, sir. So that's that, because you are, I mean, we would do what we would do with any other voice, not because we would just do it. Mr. Van Gusser's got a voice here. He lives in our community. I'd like to refer to him now because he wants to chime in on this discussion. Mr. Van Buskirk, because we're limited time here right now, so you know we're up against the wall.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't intend to dialogue with you. I just want to voice a couple of things. I personally think that you should send your original draft support letter that you put together back in May or June. I fully agreed with that. And in that letter, you said that you did an analysis. And I think you should send that. I wanted to comment on the draft ILA that you recently received. Your executive director said that that was only recently done. I think that's been done 3 or 4 months now. So it's kind of a mute point. The other thing is I served on the Belfair Sub-Area Planning Committee with Commissioner Scott, with David Overton, and 20 plus other community members. At that time, my big emphasis was on the critical aquifer recharge area that downtown Belfair and the Union River Valley set on. And I advocated that the sewer focus on being up on the plateau above Belfair, where it really should be. And consequently, my wife and I removed our property from the urban growth area. It took us a long time to get it rezoned, but we removed it. And I just felt that when they started to build the sewer, they encountered contaminated soil from all the numerous gas stations that were there. They didn't do a very good scoping. So they came to some of us community members and asked us where the gas stations were, and ended up with a big cost overrun. I don't think they're going to run into much of that sort of stuff on the plateau, possibly, but that's where the development should be. It's just common sense. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. So we're gonna move on forward here, and is it yes? Please.
I'll just do it in a couple seconds, a
Okay.
couple minutes. Just a few clarifications, just so you know, the loan is a loan. We gotta pay it back whether anybody builds or not. That's just the way it is. No big deal to it. We are expected to be paid off on our initial loans and everything in 2027. The stuff that went up the hill is not a county project. That was a developer project. Our project was from the top of the hill forward, going up in there. I want to say, we can argue about the ILA, but the truth of the matter is, I'm going to be supporting it myself up there, and the reason why is this is different than the one that came from Bremerton. I think you see the one from Bremerton, you guys may have from the past. That one was so restrictive that we would not have had the ability to find out how much it was going to cost and what the impacts might be before we move forward.
Exactly.
They wanted it all up front. This letter was different. This came up with some work with the commissioners to offer up the ability to move forward if this occurs, if this occurs, if this occurs. Feasibilities, anybody's entitled to their opinion whether they want one or not. I want one. I want to know what the costs are. I want to know what the risks are. I want to know what the benefits are. And as a matter of fact, it's odd because the Port of Bremerton had the same opportunity and was talking to the city of Bremerton. When they were done, they looked at those different options and they say they all sound like they're good, but of course, we want a feasibility. That's what they said. You can see that at their meeting. I'm not asking for anything more than what they were asking for. I could see, it isn't that I like it, because there are risks. I always want to make sure the risks benefit us. We are prepared for the future here in Mason County with what we have. I understand Bremerton's not, but I have to worry about our citizens. I'm representing Mason County, not Bremerton, and I'm not confused there. I just want to make it clear, though, that I believe this is going to pass. I think it is going to go forward. I think it's a much better step than what we had going with what was set up by Bremerton originally. And the reason why the length of time is after we put this together, we send it over to Bremerton. And it takes a while to go through that process. It took a couple weeks for us to agree to send it to Bremerton. That's how it works at the county. Then they take a while to look at it. It was never sent back as we want to go forward or anything like that. Now the commission is just going to put it forward after a vote and after discussion to see if they're going to move it forward and sign it. I believe it will be signed. I believe it will be gone forward. But that's by the length of time. So with that, though, I appreciate that you guys do take the time to look at your issues. I also was a port commissioner for 6 years, and it is our job. When we're sitting here and we're representing the people of our community, people may not like our opinion or may not want us to look further into it or may want us to look further into it. But it's up to you to have a voice. We saw a port that we lost here in Mason County, and those people lost their voice. We're not going to lose our voice, and there's nothing wrong with you having an opinion. Even if I disagree with you, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you my 2 cents and what I think. You're going to decide what you're going to think, and we're going to appreciate it or not. That's just the way it works. But thank you for all your time and effort that you have put on it, and thank you for worrying about our businesses here in your district that you represent. Thank you.
Gee, that's great. Judy, I'd tell you one thing, right? We just heard that everyone's got an opinion. But you know what? You can talk to the people and get the facts directly. So don't listen to a Mason County Commissioner to find out what the intent of the city of Bremerton is. When they sent down that first draft, it sounded like our county commissioners just said, that's what Bremerton wanted. In fact, if you talk to the utility directors of both departments, the Mason County utility director said, send us a draft so we can start with something and workshop it. So it wasn't a final agreement, it was a starting point. And then they started having meetings. So don't assume that the first ILA that you sent down was anything that anyone thought was going to be executed. Okay. It was a starting point.
So
go talk to the mayor, go talk to Ned Lever, go talk to the first party people if you really want to know.
So
they will be very transparent.
I can understand the frustration. It's like more discussion, more meetings, more discussion, more discussion. And it's like, okay, and there's a lot of stakeholders here that want to move forward. Well, I think we are. This is just a platform to bring this discussion together with some opposing argument and some pros and cons, I guess you could say, in a short order. So I appreciate your time. You had Mr. Harris, yourself, Commissioner Netherland, and everybody who's here, including everybody online. But we got to wrap this up. And I thank you for the. Okay, I thank you, Executive Director, for your putting together this forum today. I appreciate it very much. So that being said,
If I might, Commissioner?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just because of all the input and
Yeah.
what the commission said, of course, I will have in the regular meeting some points to put together
Yes.
for the commission at the next regular meeting, based on all of your conversations today.
Okay.
And the seeming of where you stand on seeing the new documentation and the new input.
Yes, no,
So-
absolutely.
I don't have a problem with the new draft. I mean, the commissioners, I watched the meeting, and my whole thing is I wanted our commissioners to look after us. And I think that's what they're trying to do. Versus the old one I felt was a little more one-sided. So,
And if I might interject, I think that the commission, the port is very busy and a lot to do. There's a lot of things that we are working against. And this isn't something that I have multitudes of time to get to the commission for the information. And this is beautiful. This is what I'm sure the commission was asking.
This is what I was asking for, so that's all.
Thank you so much for all of your
Yep,
attendance.
appreciate it very much. And that being said, we are adjourned.
No, Commissioner,
What?
there's more items on the agenda.
Well, we gotta get going though.
No, we've got the time to address these last two.
Okay, then I'll take that, retract that.
They won't take long.
I know, I was just gonna move everything to the next meeting,
Oh,
but that's
well, we
okay.
could do that.
We,
Well, I think it would be best, we have stakeholders here that would like to hear your comments.
okay, I apologize for that. Yeah. That's probably the order next time, right?
So I can quickly move through this, you can give me your comments.
Let's
and
do
then-
that.
okay.
I apologize.
So, the
That's embarrassing.
Mason County, as per one of the RCWs, has made sure that we've had an opportunity to respond and comment on some applications for the .09 funds by both the EDC of Mason County and, of course, the Port of Grapeview, our neighbors.
Okay.
So those requests were provided in the packet, and there's just, if you've got any comments you would like me to present to the county for them to be able to use those before they approve, now is the time to make those evident, and I will send them those comments in an email.
So do they want to speak?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm so sorry. So, I am.
I didn't forget.
My
I promise.
heart's back where it needs to be right now, so, all right, let's go ahead and open this up then. If you-
Yeah, it's for the commission.
I know, okay, I thought they had comment on that.
No, it's your comments.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, commission, we'll start with that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's like, wow, after that little marathon.
Yeah, I know.
There's nothing wrong with brevity.
I stress my
Well-
apologies there. Go ahead.
Let me gather my thoughts here on this, because I do support this. EDC has been a very impactful
Yeah.
entity and program, as you well know. Michael, now you're on that board, and I do have a question. It's probably in here already. What was the '09 funds for? Was it for operation, for?
Yeah, so historically, the organization has applied all the '09 funds to personnel costs.
Okay,
And so typically it goes along with the state commerce ADO funding that we receive and serves as match to that. And then, we also propose doing some additional things in there, including more evaluation of the sets of those projects so that there's a little bit more structured cost benefit analysis, return on investment information for projects that are on there. And so there were a number of things that we had listed as kind of an enhanced book of business for us going forward.
excellent, thank you. Do you need a letter of support then? Is that what this is for as well, or just
So
for other
typically,
people?
so there's an open comment period for RCW
Mhm.
on all of the '09 applications that are received. And so you could do everything from a letter to support to no comment or something in between, just, to.
I was just intending on taking your comments and sending it to the county.
Okay, well, I support it, obviously, we have been for many years, so.
I support it.
Yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. Full support. Well, yeah, and the commission now as a whole, of course. So I'm happy to say that we're in support of that.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And just so you know, that last year when we went through this process, the Port of Allyn was the only entity to submit comment, and so we appreciate you guys keeping on that and the support you have for the organization. So
Great,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
We're one out of a few
Good to
there.
see you guys.
I got it.
Okay, and then secondly, there was a second request for
Great.
Port Grapeview, and it had to do
So-
with their bathroom projects.
Okay, so can Jean share anything about that? Jean, can you share something about your application?
Can you hear us, Gene?
Are you there, Jean? Oh,
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you want on our application?
You want to fill us in on what it's for? I mean, we have some of that in here, but for the sake of the audience, can you clarify what this application for 09 funds are for?
It's for multiple uses. It's some maintenance and some issues that we have to fix on our port. You have to remember the Port of Grapeview has the smallest amount of money in the whole state. So our budget is usually about $27,000 a year. And so we make a little bit of money off our boat launch, and that's about it.
Right.
So when we have to fix things or upgrade things, or we have projects that need to be done, we usually don't have the funds to do it. And this will enable us to be able to do that. So we are most thankful that the commission would approve of this, and hopefully we'll be able to include it in our budget for next year.
Well, thank you for attending too, Jean. Thanks for hanging in there and explaining that to us. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
For the purpose of discussion, we're in support of this. It's not an action item, so we're not making a motion, but,
Just provide those comments
We're-
back to
you're-
the county for their approval of these
Yeah.
It's
possible.
kind of no-brainer to support another port.
Yep. Yeah, well,
Can I make a comment?
on this subject matter of, yes.
Thank you very much. I just want to point out, I was reading through the Sweetwater Creek extension request, and in it, it says that we've applied for .09 monies to use for cultural resource assessment, wetland delineation, property rezone to mixed use. It seems like a far stretch for .09 monies, and I'd like to have further community discussion about this. I think a more important investment would be to remove the dams that are on that Sweetwater property to facilitate fish passage.
All right.
Those are my comments.
All right, thank you.
And I did make a clarification, Commission, that those have not been submitted yet. They're being drawn up right now.
Okay.
So that.
And we have to do one before we can worry about the other, correct?
Yeah, there's other things that are in the way there. We're still drawing up. We've got 2 letters of support. We're waiting for the 3rd before we submit all that.
All right.
Great, thank you.
Is there anything else I'm missing here? All right.
I just did a public records request for that information. Thank you.
Absolutely. We will put it in the queue of the other public records requests.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Now we are adjourned. Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you, folks. I appreciate it.
Thank you.